Welcome back. Moving forward, I'm going to talk about the value of DevOps. Why do we need DevOps? What's the importance? What are some of the benefits? And of course, more importantly, the drivers of DevOps. And I'll also talk about and highlight some of these salary reports from last year. So if you're trying to enter into this field and trying to learn the basics or the fundamentals and really understand where you belong or which specific area you need to focus in as you become a developer or in the operation side as an engineer, this will give you a good idea as to where to focus on. So let's talk about some of the DevOps drivers. So within the entire life cycle of DevOps, for example, we have the development and the production teams working together. So they're collaborating back and forth. So the development team is, for example, creating an app, and the production environment is where the app is being deployed. And of course, the entire cycle stipulates that there's a backlog of requirements as new requirements come in. For example, you may have an e-commerce site that needs constant changes, or software that needs constant upgradation, and so on. So the entire circle kind of revolves around the development and the production of the app lifecycle. So the agile methodologies are simply accelerating this construction process. And the current IT standards such as the lifecycle management, or known as the ITLM, or the IT systems management best practices, made the release and operate processes reliable, but not agile. So this is the basic difference where you need to be aware of. Similarly, there's a disconnect between development and operations, which inevitably increases mistakes and, of course, the MTTRR, or in other words, the mean time to realize, recover, repair, and remediate when those issues occur. So there's a disconnect that we see in the practical world as we develop apps. And finally, the determination or determine next set of investments based on our learnings. So these are all of the DevOps drivers that are basically creating this entire process known as DevOps and combining the operations and the development teams into one. So now when you're developing an enterprise level app or software, we can remove the disconnects, for example. We can increase the reliability, and of course still be able to accelerate the production process with less errors. Some of the DevOps demand drivers are improved quality and performance of the applications. That's one of the biggest demand drivers. So the only reason we implement DevOps is to improve quality and, of course, the performance of the apps. So think about a scenario where you have millions of visitors coming to your website, for example. You need that software or that website, for example, to be a reliable one and perform faster. So this is really one of the largest, by far, demand drivers so far. Some of the others listed are: it improves the end customer user experience. There's a greater need for simultaneous deployment across different platforms. Increase of use of mobile devices is pretty common. Pressures to release applications more quickly, and so on. So the idea is that we need to focus on some of the important ones, which is it will improve the quality and performance of the applications. Some of the benefits at the same time: software services made available across more platforms. But notice here, one of the biggest benefit is the increased frequency of deployments. So notice how you work with an app or software and they have these new versions coming up every other day and so on. So this is in fact the entire life cycle of development to production, right? And all these teams are working together. So the frequently you update your software and provide benefits to the end user, the easier the end user will have an experience working with that software or app. So one of the benefits, of course, is the increased frequency of deployments. And not to mention, there are several other benefits such as reduced time to market, increasing revenue, increased collaboration between departments, and so on. And last but not least, I want to talk about the DevOps salary report. And this is last year's report. This will give you an idea as to what network administrators, engineers, or new entrants to the DevOps world is actually making. And potentially you can actually see what you can do after you increase your skill set within the field of DevOps. So I'm going to switch to the DevOps salary report that I downloaded from puppet.com. So here's the salary report. So I'm just going to scroll down. I will include this PDF document as one of the downloadable resources, so you can feel free to download and view this entire report on your own. But I'm going to just quickly scroll down and focus on one of the key areas that I want to show you, and then later on you can actually read it by yourself. So let's scroll down, and I just want to show you what actually individuals are making. So for example, let's go up here first. So the key findings of this report is that IT practitioners earn more in the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. So the common salary range in the US, for example, is between $100,000 to $125,000. So that's a pretty nice six-figure income for a DevOps engineer or developer. So salaries for IT practitioners in the US, they jumped up from last year. So in 2015, it was between $75,000 to $100,000, and in 2016, we saw an increase. And I'm pretty sure in 2017 and beyond, this market is growing exponentially, and there's a shortage of individuals. So if I scroll down further, notice the most common salary range is, of course, $75,000 plus, which is a 34% of system admins that make more than $100,000. And here in the middle, you'll see the most common salary at organizations with 5,000 plus servers. So enterprise-wide organizations, they're looking for these engineers. They can't find them, so obviously it's just much in demand. Likewise, 58% of the US practitioners now earn more than $100K, and 43% of US managers now earn more than $150,000. So overall, you get the idea, right? So there's a huge market, there's a huge demand for individuals who want to enter this field. So in this lesson, I just wanted to cover some of the basics of what actually is driving DevOps as a field itself, and the salary reports as well. So I hope this helps. Let's move to the next lesson.